Hey guys, I'm Chris Buck and a very warm welcome to Friday Fretworks. And this week, why have I stopped playing Fender Stratocasters? Okay, let's not get too far ahead of ourselves. Stratocaster is still undoubtedly my favourite guitar design of all time, and is a guitar that will always feel like home to me. But there's no denying, especially if you've been following me for any amount of time, the Strat has kind of become conspicuous in its absence, especially over the last year or so. So in light of the countless questions that I get every week, where's the Strat gone? I thought it would make for an interesting video, not just about the Stratocaster, but about guitar choices in general, and how they can influence not only your playing, but more importantly, your development as a musician. Now, in the last few months, you may well have noticed a particularly provocatively titled video floating around YouTube, possibly the most beautiful guitar solo I've ever heard. It was uploaded in October of last year, and in the meantime has had 1.6 million views and counting. And in case you hadn't guessed, it's a video of me with Buck and Evans, taken from a show in Glasgow in Scotland back in 2015-2016, if I recall correctly. Now, needless to say, I had nothing to do with uploading or titling that video, at least would have tagged myself in it, I think, if I had done. But having first dared to watch it back yesterday for the first time, I've seen it doing the rounds recently, but haven't really wanted to watch it, or definitely not read the comments. The first thing that struck me was how different a player I was in that clip. Not in terms of technical proficiency or speed or style or anything overtly dramatic or drastic, but in terms of maturity and the musical choices that I made in that solo. I guess it's inevitable. 6 or 7 years have passed since that video, during which time one would hope that I've become not only older, but wiser. But I think it's testament to the fact that the change in my playing, not so much put down to any conscientious work or homework or woodshedding, so much as one fundamental change. It's a change of guitar. The foundations of my development, not only as a guitar player, but as a professional musician, from a kid in his bedroom in South Wales without a band, to playing big shows, guitar magazines, winning awards, topping rock charts, etc., were very much laid on a Stratocaster. And watching that clip back for me is kind of like watching that progress in motion. The culmination of all of my influences, so much as anything individually identifiable. Now, I guess dependent on your outlook, or more likely which side of the curtain you're looking on from, that progress having been tracked over the last decade or so, really, in shows, tours, clinics, masterclasses, festivals, etc., filmed and uploaded to YouTube by various people, is either a blessing or a curse. Now, for me, I know there are certain videos out there which I just wish didn't exist. Moments of either particularly poor playing, or moments where, in retrospect, I don't think I was quite ready to deal with the concept of a moment in time being uploaded to YouTube and being available to watch out of context in perpetuity. It's kind of a scary concept when you think about it, but really is indicative of the music industry at large. I know it's become fashionable in recent times to all rejoice in a chorus of mocking laughter at just how much a band like Greta Van Who make music, at least early on, that sounds like the music of Led Zeppelin. But is it their fault? No, it's their labels, who, upon seeing a band clearly full of raw talent and potential, should have invested in their development, not only as a band, but as individual musicians, instead of ploughing a clearly gargantuan marketing budget into an attempt to turn them into America's biggest new rock band, near enough overnight, at an age, 19, 20, whatever they were, where they clearly weren't ready, at least musically speaking. Subsequently, the development, which ordinarily would have happened over the course of years across empty rock clubs across the US, happened over a few months and under the microscope with the world watching. And subsequently, reviews, instead of leading with how good the playing is or how good their songwriting is now getting, now lead with how much they do or don't still sound like Led Zeppelin. A musician's or an artist's development is a process which, ultimately, takes as long as it is going to take, especially in regard to finding your own unique voice. But, understandably, in a world dominated by instant gratification, where everyone needs to be immediately accessible, it's a process which is underappreciated, overlooked, and in some scenarios, even forgotten entirely. So what's all this got to do with me and a Stratocaster? Now, something I've become increasingly aware of in the last few years in regard to a Strat is when a guitar has such a defined and instantly identifiable character and voice, it can actually make it harder to try and find your own. So many musicians have been so synonymous with a Strat that if you play music which is at all rooted in the blues, as I do, it's a very, very well-trodden path, and understandably, people are quick to categorise. If you're running into a crank damp with a tube screamer, then obviously you're a Stevie fan, but if you tune down at all with a fuzz or a univibe, then obviously you're in Jimmy's territory. If you're clean or just mildly overdriven, then obviously you're a John Mayer alumni. The Strat has such a distinctive voice and has become synonymous with so many iconic musicians that, for me at least, taking a step back from it and picking up something with a little less history and baggage, like the Yamaha Revstar, really was incredibly important in me finding my own feet and not just walking in other people's shoes. Taking a step away from a Stratocaster has meant that when I do go back, I'm now hearing and feeling it with fresh ears and fresh hands, and not so burdened by the shadows of my influences, which I felt very much on my shoulders for so long. I guess ultimately it's a case of knowing when to walk away from something and, conversely, feeling when you're ready to go back. As ever, I'm Chris Buck. Thank you very much for watching. This is Friday Fretworks. Please subscribe if you haven't already, and I shall see you next week for another episode. Cheers, guys. Take care. See you soon.